Hello everyone, hope you're all well and welcome to another episode of the All Words Free podcast. So in today's episode we're going to be talking about theatre, or on the subject of theatre, because this week I have been at the Edinburgh Fringe. So this was the first time I'd ever been. I heard a lot about it because a lot of my friends have been before, or there's been a lot of plays that were originally performed in Oxford, so at university, by students, or put on by students, and a few of these are taken up to the Fringe. So I'd heard about it before, and then I heard through one of my friends about this reviewing group, and so I was in Edinburgh doing some reviews. There are posts on the Substack, which are my reviews, with links to the original website at edfringereview.com. But it's been an amazing experience, actually. Like I thought it wouldn't be, but it's been incredible. I mean, first off, Edinburgh is beautiful. I've never even been to Scotland before, so it was wonderful to explore a new place. I'm quite a traveller. I really like to, I really want to travel and see a lot of new places, so it was lovely to experience that. Edinburgh is such a beautiful city. It was, I didn't necessarily have any expectations, I guess, but there was a castle and all the classic stuff, and it was really wonderful. It was a bit of a maze, I can't lie, but it had this sort of character about it, and yes, that was really wonderful, wonderful to see. And the theatre scene was absolutely incredible. There were so many different venues, from little venues to actual sort of full-scale theatre spaces. And it was interesting to see how different groups, different performers use these different spaces. There was a vast variety of things on as well. So I saw some stand-up, I saw straight plays, I saw comedies, I saw musicals, I saw some cabaret as well. And it was nice to see things that I perhaps wouldn't have seen otherwise. There is so much on offer, and you could be there all throughout August, going to shows from the very moment you wake to really late at night, and you would still not be able to see everything because there is so much on offer. And that's what's really wonderful about the Fringe, because it gives a lot of people with different backgrounds and different experiences, and who just enjoy expressing themselves in different ways, a platform. It allows people to find things that they maybe don't really know that much about, or find little gems, or find people that they feel they can relate to as well. It's a really magical place, and it was really nice to walk through the streets, and there were just people busking or street performers. That was really wonderful, and it really added to the whole atmosphere. It was very, very busy, but you could see that a lot of people were there for the Fringe and for theatre, and it was wonderful to see such an abundance of people there, all for perhaps going to see different things, but all for the enjoyment of human expression through the arts. And that's one thing I really love about theatre as an umbrella term, but I suppose the arts is an even wider umbrella term. And God knows I did need that umbrella, because it was very rainy, unfortunately, but still had a wonderful time. That's what's so beautiful about the arts, that no matter what segment per se, or no matter what denomination of the arts people feel is their thing, what they get the most from, it is such a place for expression of ideas, of thoughts, of movements. Theatre can speak to an audience in a way that perhaps a simple conversation can't always do. And theatre can start conversations. Theatre can represent something that perhaps you couldn't quite put into words otherwise. Seeing yourself in a performer or in a character in a play is almost a form of self-reckoning. And I think the emotion that you can feel when watching something, be it pure elation from a sketch show, to allow for that ability perhaps to escape, or watching something that you can identify with on maybe a more melancholy or saddening level, or even a self-reckoning in the sense that it maybe changes your mind about things. It makes you realise something, or maybe question things. The arts are so powerful in so many ways, and it's no wonder that so many people love the arts in a particular way, love theatre because not only do you see people physically there and see them going through emotions or performing or expressing themselves through their bodies and their words, but you feel like you're part of something. With theatre, it's quite special because your experience is your own and how you feel is so personal and how something makes you feel. But it's also sitting with friends, with family, with strangers, all together, all focused, all watching the performers and the passion that is behind that. I know script writers, I know directors, choreographers, lighting designers, sound designers, all of the people, all of the members of the crew behind a production, that mutual care for something going well, it really does bring people together, and it really just encapsulates in some way perhaps what it is to be human, to forge connection, to feel accepted as well. Because I, in my own experience of doing theatre throughout my life, really, I mean, I started, in primary school, doing, plays and things, and I was part of a choir, so that's music, I guess, and carried on from there. I was part of an academy in Stoke-on-Trent, and did that for a while. And you begin as a dancer and get to the main roles, and maybe that isn't what everyone wants as well. Just taking part is you get drawn into the crowd. You get such a fantastic thrill from just working with people and having that common goal of wanting something to go well. And since coming to university, the fact that I've been able to carry on with that sort of thing, I don't know whether I was really expecting it. I took regular dance classes until about 18, and when I came to university, I didn't really think I'd be able to find that again, and here I am now starting ballet classes. It was sad to come away to uni and think that I had to leave all that behind. And then I didn't. And in theatre at university, I have found my people and my home. So beyond me waffling on, and I am going to have a special Fringe written piece talking about community and then also the expense of theatre as well. Because another thing about Fringe, they have free Fringe, but they also have ticket prices that are quite significant. There are big acts where the ticket prices are more, of course, but it acts as potentially a barrier for a lot of people who've been able to see things. And since theatre is for the people, maybe there's some discrepancies there. But that is an upcoming piece, and I genuinely I hope that maybe you've enjoyed this little special series. In today's episode, we're going to be now listening to a few opinions. So there's a couple interview style pieces and then a couple of excerpts from people talking about what they love about theatre. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Libby, and that is bagpipes that you can hear in the background. We have tried to find a quiet spot in Edinburgh, and this was the best we could do. It was very quiet, and then the bagpipes started.
Constant bagpipes.
Yes. So we know each other through the Oxford Light Entertainment Society. But I'd say we got really close. First when we were directing together for that, so we were both co-directors. And then when I directed a two-hander with you in one of the leading roles. So that's where we kind of became closer friends.
Yeah. No, that was, so the play was called Kin. I think we made a little dream team, and it was nice because I feel like it was a good opportunity to
it was therapy.
Get to know each other. Yeah. And get to know each other a bit more. And
who needs therapy when you can do a show?
And you can do a show like that. I guess as a brief thing, Kim was about, two sisters.
Estranged sisters.
Estranged sisters.
Haven't spoken for 20 years. and their dad is dying, so they kind of come back together. Obviously all of their past issues kind of hashed out. Yeah, but hopefully we'll get another episode to talk about that a bit more in depth.
Yes, we will. Hopefully, it's like I have no control.
Oh, I mean, that's me just hinting.
I have the power. No, I'd really like that. That'd be really nice. You can come over to the flat.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
Kid
not
flats.
that you will just be coming over for that. You can come over for many other reasons. But yeah, no, it's funny because you think back to like when we were first putting it all together, and you cast, you know, me and Ren, and you chose the play. How did you actually end up choosing?
I feel like this was for the other episode.
This is for the other episode?
But yeah.
Yeah.
Not the best story, but
No, okay. But yeah, I don't know. And we just sort of got to know each other more from there, and it was really nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Bonding exercises. So anyway, this is about theatre in general.
Yes.
So you
A
can
kin episode coming soon.
coming soon to podcasts
Substack.
near you. Substack. Yeah. What do you like about theatre, or why is it like special?
That's actually kind of hard to answer. I haven't really thought about
It's very
it
generic
because
questions.
I'm like looking back. I don't know. I suppose I was in my drama club at primary school kind of early on, and I don't know. I wanted to enjoy it, but I never got given the chance. I was always in like the chorus.
Yeah.
And they didn't run auditions at all, so it was literally just nepotism casting
Oh,
from
no.
like who
The
the
worst.
teacher already liked.
Yeah.
And then in our Year 6 Leavers assembly, we would always do like a play where people played the teachers. And for that, they did do auditions.
Okay.
And I actually, this is so petty because it's Year 6, but I beat out the girl who always got given the lead roles in drama club for the role that she wanted.
Good.
Because there were auditions.
Good.
And I kind of realised from there that I was actually good at it. Like my parents came to see it and were like, Libby, we didn't really know you could actually, because it was also a comedy role. I've always been better at comedy acting. And they were really impressed with it. So I don't know, I kind of did stuff from there. I did pantos every year for a little while, and I would often get cast in the leads for that because I was one of the few people who could sing. So that gave me that. So I also did like musical theatre grades. I have my grade 8 in musical theatre singing.
Yeah. Serious stuff.
Distinction as well. So. Oh, there go the birds
I
again.
think the bit agrees. It's like, wow, incredible.
Yeah, thanks. And I don't know. I think when I was little, I really liked going to see plays. And I'd always get really jealous of them. Like I literally remember multiple times, like seeing a play and going home and crying because I wanted so badly to be in it and be a part of that, and I just didn't get to do that when I was in primary school. And then even in secondary, like I just kind of was on the sidelines a little bit because there were people that were, I don't know, the bigger actors or like had the
Bigger.
Also just were more conventionally attractive, which I think does come into it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I think the way I presented and being one of like the more like weird kids meant that I wasn't, you know, theatre kids are kind of a stereotype for being weird kids, and so I'm sure they still were weird kids compared to, say, the other kids, but these were all girls who did like dancing like 5 hours a week outside school.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that, so I never got those big roles, and I was always in the chorus again, but I still really enjoyed it. When we did drama in like Year 8 and Year 7, I remember like while the teacher's back was turned and we were practicing our scenes, like trying to do bits to make my friend laugh, and then the teacher caught me one day like doing this bit to make my friend laugh, and I thought I was going to get in trouble, but it was a comedy that we were doing, and she was like, why aren't you doing that? That's really funny. And so the bit that my like friend was doing turned into just what I did on stage. So that kind of pushed me to take GCSE drama, which was its own kind of hell. But I did have some good experience come out of it. And those pantos that I was doing every year really boosted my confidence as well, because it wasn't in the circle with all of these dancing girls, it was with people from all ages. And so there wasn't really that stereotype I was competing against. So when I came to university, I just kind of wanted to carry it on. I really enjoyed it. I was a bit of a musical theatre kid at that point. You know, Hamilton had me in its clutches for a little while.
Oh, that's so, yeah.
And I'd always, from GCSE drama, like there was a very small question where there was a chance they could ask us about lighting. And so we had to learn it, and we literally did like maybe one lesson on it. Not how it works or anything like that, but like colour symbolism.
Okay.
And I always thought that was so cool. Because our play that we did was Blood Brothers, and so there's a lot of lighting, colour symbolism in that,
Nice.
especially for motifs. And I'm still kind of quite inspired by that in the lighting I do now. So that from that point, I always wanted to try theatre lighting, but there was just no opportunity to do that at my skate school. There was like one IT guy that did the lighting, and his like nephew or something that happened to be a student that would also do it. So there was just no opportunity to ever learn that or get to do that. But I always knew I wanted to try that at university, so I signed up as soon as I could to be an assistant.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it, and by the end of that day of me doing that get-in and being an assistant, I'd already signed up for like 4 shows for the next term.
Wow, yeah.
And I deliberately bit off way more than I could chew, because the way that I work is I only learn things if I know I'll let somebody else down if I don't. So I always kind of set myself a high challenge, because I have to rise to meet it if there's other people on the line. Because I'm a people pleaser. I procrastinate, but I know if someone else is going to be affected, that I will get it done.
Yeah.
And so I kind of continually have just taken bigger and bigger steps of like more difficult lighting work in order to push myself. And here I am now doing 3 shows a day at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Oh my gosh.
Doing lighting and sound, because of course nobody wants to take someone just to do lighting, so you have to learn sound to do that too.
You've acquired a skill.
Yes, and I still like heavily use my love of lighting motifs and like colour symbolism that I got from analysing Blood Brothers that one time.
Oh gosh. No, it's funny. It's funny how all the little things can like, you remember them like years down the line. And
I guess I hadn't really thought about it, but as soon as I started thinking about it, I kind of got more of a clear timeline in my head.
Oh no, that's really nice. It's a nice little, nice little timeline.
It's funny because when I was a little kid, I really wanted to be an actor, but I've always been so cynical, and so I gave up on that very early and decided, no, I'm going to be a scientist because I really like that, and it's a realistic goal. And I still love science. There's no like certainty that I'm not going to do that now, but now knowing that theatre lighting is like attainable, like acting might not be, and I'm not necessarily going to try and go into that. I'll probably always want to do a bit of amateur acting as like a fun hobby.
Yeah, keep your hand in.
Yeah, exactly. But I think now realising that theatre lighting actually could be a career because it's not as oversaturated as acting, it's making me think like, I don't know, maybe that the dream's alive again but in a different way.
Yeah, but that's really exciting. It's nice that you found lighting and tech stuff.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed doing my bit of directing as well, and I've done a little bit of stage management here and there. But yeah, lighting is my first love.
Yeah, no, I feel like you're the lighting guru of Oxford now.
Oh, I wish. There are too many great lighting people.
You've taught a lot of people though.
I have, yeah, but I'm definitely not the person who's taught the most minions. But yeah, I like passing the torch on, I suppose.
Yeah.
I enjoy teaching people, although often it's such a frantic environment that it's hard to teach somebody, and you just have to give them very basic instructions, do this, do that. So you really need more time with someone to be able to properly teach them. But I don't know, I've tried to do that a little bit on the shows that weren't quite so frantic.
Yeah.
And I'm always like just one message away for people who have seen me in that frantic environment and I haven't really had the time to teach them. I'm always like, okay, well, you ever have a question, I'm right here. I'm always on my phone, unfortunately. So, yeah.
No, I find it really admirable how you because I don't know, I watch you putting all the stuff together, and it always comes out with this like wonderful symbolism, and everything always looks beautiful. And I feel like lighting is something that isn't, maybe as an audience member you don't appreciate it as much, because
people always say you don't notice good lighting, you only notice bad lighting.
Yes.
Which I think is sad, and I don't think it has to be true. I think maybe the average audience member isn't consciously thinking about it, but I think people do notice good lighting. Because there's bad lighting, you could have a plain wash on stage and it wouldn't necessarily look like bad lighting to somebody. because it's fine if that works for it. But I think if you're seeing a fantastical show where you've got like light streaming in from different angles and really fun colours, because that fits it, if it's like more fantastical, then I think audience members do notice that. They're just not consciously thinking about how somebody programmed that and everything. Whereas now I go see a theatre show and I'm like, oh, I wonder what effect that is that they're using. And usually I can figure it out because often they use the default effects.
Oh, nice. Yeah. The thought that goes behind it is wonderful. I love the whole symbolism thing in anything, but I think the lighting is quite magical because it almost can make the audience feel something, like a blue or a red or whatever, without them even consciously acknowledging it.
Yeah, and in more simplistic shows, in terms of set, it really helps create the atmosphere. Obviously, doing student theatre, there's not a lot of room to have big set pieces, so the lighting really is the set, and especially with one of the shows I'm doing now at the Fringe. It's all set in the same place on one beach but at different times of day, and so you just like the simple use of colour grading. An audience member might not consciously might not consciously think about it, but seeing like a bright, warm summer's day looks very different to the scenes at night where it's like a very dim blue. And an audience member just intuitively knows, okay, this is happening at night, but they're not necessarily thinking about how that thought went in and what was required to make it look like that.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so very, very basic. I'm going to say, I mean, we've kind of covered it in a way because of you saying about like carrying on with the lighting. No, you've covered a load of questions. This is what I like because I can just sit and listen. But say you could only do one in the future. From now, you could only do one continually, ignoring the shows that you've still got to do at the Fringe. Cast or crew?
Oh, I think I have to say crew just because that's what I do more, but I would really miss not being able to be on any cast anymore. But like I said, I think there's one of those that I can pursue professionally, and that will be crew. But I don't see any reason to not keep doing little bits of fun acting here and there. I just don't fancy myself being a really serious actor.
Yeah.
And it also just seemed like a very stressful lifestyle to constantly be looking for work.
It does.
It's so oversaturated, it just seems demoralising, the auditions you have to go to. So I'd much rather have something where I can present a CV.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, less pressure, I guess. But how, because I've noticed myself that when you're a member of the cast or a member of the crew, it's kind of, the experience is different.
Yeah, I definitely miss the social aspect of being on cast. I often feel like directors forget, because they're technically crew, but they interact with the cast so much, and I feel like they often forget about other crew members. I mean, even if you're a stage manager, you spend the whole time with your cast backstage, making sure they're going on and have the right props and whatever. And costume, you have to measure people, so you're having all that interaction. But really, in a lighting position, I'm not doing any of that. I miss out on a lot of that. I often have cast like thank me, and it's always really nice, and it goes a long way when they tell me how good my lighting is and how they can do the show without me and all of that stuff. I get a lot of that nice stuff, but I also have had casts that have barely interacted with me, and it's like I'm not even there. And at least often, even if it's that really nice cast that thanks me a lot and kind of gets to know me during the show, I still don't get to know them during like the whole rehearsal process, so it's not got the same social aspect that a lot of the cast stuff does, which is why I still like to do like cast stuff here and there.
Okay. Could you, if you're able to, what's your favourite kind of theatre? So talking like, abstract or very serious or a comedy to actually watch.
Obviously musical theatre, but that in itself is a huge genre. So I think, I don't know, in terms of just pure enjoyment, it's always going to be comedy because, you're laughing throughout it. But it doesn't necessarily leave the longest impact. So, I don't know. I guess like a musical that's got good elements of comedy and more seriousness. My favourite musical of all time is Rent, just because it holds a very dear place for me. It's like my parents really liked it and were really connected with it. And then also I just feel a lot of kinship with the LGBT struggle.
Yeah.
And it's also got really wild and over the top and funny stuff in it, and also really dark and kind of deeply affecting moments. So I think that's probably got the best mix of what I enjoy seeing. And I've still never seen it live.
No.
Never. I'm desperate to. But I've seen lots of different pro shoots, and I've seen the movie, which doesn't.
I
touch-
also have seen, yeah.
the movie's nowhere near as good. But yeah, hopefully one day I'll put it on. But it just right now I just can't. I'd be too much of a perfectionist. Like I know I technically could put it on any day now. Well, not. I mean, it would take months, but I could set the wheels in motion to put that on. I know that I have the opportunity to do that at Oxford. But I'm just kind of stuck in the mud on it because I need it to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure if I'm really ready to do that.
Yeah, take it on. Well, I'd be here, ready, in the wings. But no, that'd be cool.
I'm just not sure what I can do with it that hasn't been done before. But it's already so great on its own.
It is.
I don't know if you necessarily need to do anything with it, but I feel like there's a pressure at Oxford to not just put on a show, but to like do something to make it your own. And I don't know. I just want to be true to the show. I don't necessarily want to do anything different. I just want to put on Rent and make a good Rent. I don't need to do anything profound or different because it already stands on its own. I think.
Yeah. The source is already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Already got it. Whatever it
Yeah.
is. What about a dream role?
Oh. I mean, again, it would
if
probably have
Libby
to
was
be
to
in
go
Rent.
back in acting, yeah.
It would probably have to be in Rent just because of that. But I'm unfortunately too cynical and too much of a self-critic that I'm like, my voice just doesn't quite fit any of those roles. Like the one that I fit best is Mimi, who is like not a white character. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, if I could like gender bend and play Roger, that would probably be my preference.
That would be cool. We've kind of gone through the questions, and I had a brain melt and couldn't really think of any more. So I'm trying to think of something interesting.
I guess like
Shakespeare.
Yeah, I haven't really done much Shakespeare. I'm not Shakespeare's biggest fan, and I know that's a bit of a
Why?
controversy.
Come on, this is the question.
I think like his plays are great for what they were meant to be, which is they were meant to be able to be enjoyed by the common folk, and that's why there was no reason. Which is why I think it's so strange that now Shakespeare is so highbrow. Because in my opinion, Shakespeare is great at being trashy. It was written to be kind of like trashy and for the people, and to be like full of drama and all of this, and it's taken on this kind of weird elitism and prestigiousness that I don't think was ever the intention. So I don't know, I way prefer like stripped down Shakespeare and kind of what it was originally meant to be.
Yeah.
But I just don't think there's anyone who enjoys Shakespeare that isn't like enjoying it because it's prestigious.
Yeah, like somebody's watching Shakespeare
Yeah.
and saying, oh, it's wonderful because of
Yeah.
this, and this, and oh, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, and obviously the language of it is, because it's not modernised, it's harder to understand. So I guess that necessarily creates a barrier for today's people, and kind of means you have to dive deeper into it as an actor to understand what you're actually saying. But I don't think that was ever the point of Shakespeare's work. And that kind of shines through in some of it because he spends a lot of time having characters just talking about what's happening to try and catch the audience up.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of scenes that if they were written today, people would be like, oh, that was meant to be subtext. Why are we having all this exposition? Like, Shakespeare's full of just random, like, characters explaining what's happened for the sake of the audience.
Yeah.
So I think if it was written today, it would be heavily criticised.
Probably, yeah.
But it would probably still be enjoyed just by a very different group of people. And so I think it's odd that it's kind of taken on such an elitist kind of lens.
It is, yeah. So I feel like theatre, like you say, it's no matter what form per se, it is for the people, and so it feels a shame, how expensive tickets can be, and that's why something like the Fringe, even though there are expensive tickets or whatever, there's also everyone can give it a go from the crew cast side, but also anyone can go and watch it, and age restrictions and all that aside. But anyone can go and watch it, and there's cheaper tickets for concessions, students, whatever. And it's nice that theatre is more accessible, but on the sort of West End scale, not so much.
I get why it has to be expensive because there's no state support, I suppose, for the arts. Like
Yes.
arts is run by the audience. But yeah, I think it has lost that kind of. I guess it's because the kind of everyday man Shakespeare viewer that would be in the standing area and yelling out. I guess that kind of thing has been replaced by TV.
Yes.
So it's only the highbrow people that would have been in the boxes that are now going to theatre. But I think that does have a lot to do with the price, and there is like a kind of understanding attached to theatre that it's meant to be very serious and highbrow. So you don't really get that kind of crowd anymore. Which I suppose on one hand is good because you don't really want hecklers, but like, yeah, I do think that there's theatre is seen as like something that only specific people are going to. You're not going to get your football fans going to the theatre, really.
Which is a shame. I feel like theatre may have this sort of stereotypical viewer. And maybe it's, I don't know, I feel like anyone could get at least something from
I mean, even in the studio theatre at Oxford, most of the people who go and see shows are people who also act and do crew for shows. They're not. You're basically selling tickets to other theatre people. You're not really ever selling to people who are in other societies, which I think I don't know. There just seems to be a barrier there with like people are like, oh no, I don't like theatre. Well, how can you not like theatre? It's you know, there's so many different genres. You must like some theatre. You just haven't given it a chance.
Because if you like film, it's a simple thing, right? I mean, it's just a film but on a stage.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's
there are
fundamentally
different
different
layers.
in a lot of things. Like, I prefer kind of electricity of a live performance.
Yes.
I do think a lot of people dismiss it as being not for them when they have only, I guess, they're stereotyping what the mind of what theatre is.
But I think it's probably time for you to go in.
Maybe. What time
It's
is
like
it?
current 5 past.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so
off to go and do my next show.
Off to do work. Final
authentic experience for the viewers.
Yeah, busy.
Viewers, the
listeners. Final few words or
come see Sun King at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
right now. All right, but thank you, Libby, and you will be back.
Yeah, I
for
hope
King.
you will be. And plenty more. I've got lots of opinions. I'm a good rambler.
Yeah. Okay.
Goodbye.
For me, theatre is a parallel universe, or a number of parallel universes, that we have the power to enter and create and enjoy, and we have choice and liberty that we cannot afford in real life. And I think it's a beautiful way to express underrepresented and so underspoken topics that can really illuminate struggles within struggles, a lot to do with LGBT communities where there is internal division, and climate movements as well, particularly in the way of race in that kind of sense. You can really sort of chide your audience in a very loving way to an end where they will still pay to see you and they'll take an interest in you, but they won't like fear you or fear your disdain. They're open to criticism because they know it's not just about them. Theatre is a mouthpiece on a particular situation, or it creates a particular world in which things exist in a different way. So where maybe gay people are more populous than straight people, or where race is entirely blind. You know, I'm speaking on a very kind of equality-based footing, but I feel as though that can also go horribly wrong because it gives license to people that like to make jokes at the expense of others and envisage a world that they're already working towards, and that the politics of our actual world allows them to execute in some way. A lot in relation to comedy, where you get all these transphobic performers essentially illuminating their lack of material by exhibiting a disdain for another group of people. Or where you have someone like J.K. Rowling, who is able to create a timeless plotline partially copied from another series, where, you know, kids, but also people of all ages, can enjoy the wizarding world, the supernatural, the unknown, and the magic of pseudo-realism and the kind of parallels between the Dudleys' world, i.e. the Muggles' human world, and then Harry Potter's world. But then in real life, in this cruel, horrible world from which she and her audience are both suspended and rowing with each other, she's actually a really terrible transphobic person who does not deserve that notice or the credit for what she's created because she's abused her own craft. It's a funny thing, but in terms of theatre and performance, I do think it's a necessity. I think the arts and humanities as a whole stop us from killing each other more than we already do. You know, words are the currency of thought, and if you need to think about something before you say it, what you say will be more effective. And so if you've had to think about how you're going to exhibit what you're going to say and how you're going to accompany it and how you're going to provide it, it becomes even more special. And it's only at conventions like the Fringe where communities can rub shoulders and actively understand each other and love each other and assess each other without fear of overwhelming reprimand that you might see in mainstream media. Because the Edinburgh Fringe is a mainstream event, but the reviewing pages and the venues are not necessarily mainstream.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. Hello, I'm Rebecca. I am a student and I'm also performing at the Fringe, which is very fun. I'm in a show that is a murder mystery about killing your law professor. It's very fun.
Lovely.
It's called Pretty Little Lawyers, not liars. We don't want to get sued. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's very camp. Love it.
So what do you, I mean, very general question,
Yes.
but what do you like about theatre?
Okay, let me give you a short list.
Okay.
I think the main thing is the kind of community that it fosters, like, especially since I've come to the Fringe, seeing everyone kind of gathering in this city for essentially a common goal. I'm just like, this is amazing. There are a bunch of people here that are interested in the same things that I'm interested in. This is great. And also it's just such a, like, it really kind of gets you out of the house, I suppose. It's like quite an active hobby, especially since I am very used to doing dance. So I'd go out and like dance with people, do like jazz classes, and it's like, oh, I'm exercising and I'm seeing my friends. This is great. Yeah. So yeah, it's just kind of that kind of middle of the Venn diagram where like I'm seeing my friends and I'm doing something healthy for my mind and for my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, love this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like especially on the friends thing, because most, if not all, my friends now are, I mean, I've talked about this in another thing, but
Yeah.
are from doing theatre
Yeah,
stuff.
same. Yeah.
Because it is just a natural, having that common sort of love for
Yeah.
one thing, be it theatre or anything else, it's sort of an automatic conversation. So you can start there and then you just sort of,
It just opens
build
doors
and grow
for
from
you.
there. And,
Yeah.
I feel like you meet so many different kinds of people as well.
Definitely.
Doing, you know,
Yeah.
different types of theatre, be like musicals or plays, whatever.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I found that like there are so many more niches than we thought there would be.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know, there's just a certain kind of brand of actor for every. I don't mean to pigeonhole people, but it's been really interesting because I think because I've grown up in this kind of like musically environment, I was always just like, oh, everyone must be into musicals. There's a guy that I'm living with at the moment that's like, I hate them, they're horrible. Like, I can't imagine that, you know? Being an actor and not liking musical theatre at once. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's such a wider world than I expected it to be, and it's been nice to explore. Yeah.
No, it has. I think it's nice to try a lot of different things, like
Yeah.
Shakespeare to things like musical theatre.
Yeah.
And it's funny how, some people are very much, I like this one thing and I will not do anything else, and other people are just kind of trying a load of different
I like to do a bit of
things.
everything. It's like a cheese board or something. That was such a weird metaphor.
Yeah,
But
that's
like,
a great metaphor.
just pick and choose, you know?
Do you have a favourite though?
It's always going to be musical theatre.
Yeah.
It is. And comedy. Because acting is a new thing for me. I have always kind of done performing, but never really acting until I came to university. And it was very, very, like, my first play was Faust, and I was immediately like, this is really different from what I'm used to.
I didn't realise that was your first play, to be honest.
It was really, really weird going into this rehearsal space and everyone being like, we're going to read lines off of a script. And I was like, no singing, no dancing, no. But yeah, so it's always going to be, I guess, comedy and musical theatre for me, because, I don't know, I find it, maybe it's just what I've pigeonholed myself into, but I find that it's in my wheelhouse more than like serious dramatic acting.
Do you think you'd step
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe. I don't know. It depends. Listen, if I'm right for a role, they'll cast me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's something that I think I'd have to get used to. Like, I think Frost is the one and only thing I've done that's been remotely serious, and I was in the one comedy scene of that play.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It was a very heavy play, to be fair. Yeah.
It was. But it was a fun time. I enjoyed it. Yeah. It's always going to be like panto and comedy for me. Yeah.
Do you have a dream role? You know, if you could be anything on the biggest stage or whatever.
I have a couple. I've written about this, and it's like I have a list. There are two kind of main ones. One of them is actually, I guess it's musical theatre, Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I would just love to be in anything in that play, but being Hedwig, gender goals. I just love like queer, like non-binary musical punk rock, yes. But also like Emma from The Guy Who Did My Musicals. Weirdly, like Starkid was like my gateway into theatre, and that was the first thing I watched. And I was like, I want to be in that, and it's kind of true now, which is really scary.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Dream to reality.
Manifestation. Yeah. But it's definitely Hedwig and everything else. we'll see if I ever get there. We'll see.
We'll see. You just got to keep auditioning.
Exactly. Just see if anyone ever puts it on because it's such a weird play. But yeah, it'll be a fun time.
Do you think you will keep acting?
Yeah. I don't know. It's the kind of thing where I'm like, I toyed around before I applied to university with the idea of going to like drama college, and I was like, this isn't for me. But it's the kind of thing that I would want to continue after uni because I feel like it's such a, like I said before, it's such a community activity, and it's something that I'd want to just have 4 years and then leave behind. So maybe I'll just be one of those people that keeps popping back in. But I don't know. It's something that I'd want to continue on with in some kind of capacity, but not professionally, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends on, again, if you want to cast me, go for it. But yeah, no.
There's a lot of pressure in the audition process and everything, and it gets very, I don't know, as a career it seems to be less glitz and glamour than one may think. Looking at the big stars especially.
I know a lot of people that have kind of gone through the drama school process, and I mean especially for musical theatre, and it's just kind of like the amount of pressure that they have on them constantly. I'm just like, I could not deal with it.
It's true.
Because you always have to be working other jobs, and then you get cast in a job, and I guess it's just kind of an unstable industry, which is hopefully something that improves.
I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully. But, yeah.
So you've done crew stuff as well. So how do you find it being the crew versus the cast? Is it quite different? Do you prefer one to the other?
That is such a good question. I do really like being on crew. I think that maybe it taps into my control freak tendencies, but I did like directing. That was fun. I'm currently producing a play also, which is I like to organise things. So honestly, it's like if you have a tendency for spreadsheets, just going to produce. I love a spreadsheet. But yeah, I've done quite a bit of choreography now, which is really fun because it's kind of I've never choreographed with people that aren't dancers also, so it's got me to experience that, which is fun. But I think it's definitely I guess it's two sides of the same coin, but being in cast is such a different kind of level of commitment, especially if you're, say, you're only in a couple scenes per show. If I was in a crew, I would have been there constantly, and you kind of see it grow. So I think crew maybe has, especially directing and producing, more of a sense of fulfillment once you reach the end of it for me, because it's like you've seen it grow like a child. You've seen it grow, and now it's reached its full potential.
You have that sort of swelling pride.
Almost. I mean, if it turns out well. But it's definitely a different experience. I think I'd like to keep the balance, like keep doing both, because they're both great. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do a double whammy.
Ooh, okay.
Earliest theatre memory, and then favourite theatre memory.
Oh god. Okay. Earliest theatre memory. It was probably pantomime actually.
Yeah.
I was always raised on there's a big panto scene where I live. It's pretty much the only theatre thing that we have going on where I live every year. And I can't remember what panto it was, but I just remember being like 5 or 6 and seeing this panto and being like, And favourite theatre memory, I think it would definitely be something from my university days, because it's really when I started to get probably
really into it.
It's become a kind of irrefutable. I'm known in my friend group for doing it, which is now I'm like, okay, I can escape it. I think, I don't know, I really liked during freshers doing auditions for Treasure Island. That was fun. Because now I know so many of the people, and it was just a kind of, I guess, symbolic thing of community. I'm circling back to community, and it was a really fun show. And kind of my first show where I was like, I'm in a big role, this is really fun. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed being a short, pathetic man. And I've been typecast.
You've been typecast just a little bit.
Just a bit.
But I can't believe that you hadn't really done much acting.
It's always just been, just so good. Stop there. No. It's been really fun.
Have you got any final thoughts on theatre as a thing? Anything you want to say to the listeners?
To the lovely listeners. I mean, I will be a listener also. I guess it's just like, don't hold yourself back from doing anything. Like, self-belief comes with the experience of trying, and you just kind of have to go for it. That's a good philosophy to leave you with.
I think that's actually that's really nice.
Hi, I'm Lucy. One of the reasons why I personally love theatre so much is the way that it can create and tell stories in ways that like you wouldn't think to do so. So not necessarily just through like words on a page or whatever, how you can use different like theatre techniques, like your bodies, if you're using physical theatre to tell a story without any words, if you're like miming something. And I think that can be really powerful at times and can convey like really like strong messages and stuff, which I think is really cool that people can do that. And another reason I love theatre so much as well is more in terms of like the musicals and like lyrics. I love how they can describe what you're feeling through a song. So if I'm sitting in the audience, I can take the lyrics that the performers are singing on stage and portray them into my life, and they can describe whatever I'm feeling or whatever. And I think it's really cool that, and I think it is more musical songs in particular that do that compared to like, you know, just like average pop songs or whatever. I think it is more musicals who do that, and that's the point of a musical, is to tell a story. So I think that's why musical songs in particular are really strong doing that.
Okay, and that's all from me today. I really hope you've enjoyed listening, and yeah, please let me know if you like this sort of special episode style thing. There are going to be a lot more interview style pieces coming up and episodes coming up, because I really enjoy them. I like an audio essay, but I think it's nice to bounce off other people as well. I just want to say that thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Ed Fringe Review for having me. I really enjoyed it, and it was a wonderful experience, sending me off to things that I maybe wouldn't have seen otherwise, and also making choices for me. That was very helpful. Had a wonderful time. And thank you to Libby, to Rebecca, to Lucy, and to Isaac for being involved in this episode. I will see you, or hear you. No, you will hear me. You will hear me next time for an audio essay style episode. Take care, and let's keep talking.